Hey guys, Ningen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and yet again, your Super Battle Road King is here to provide the glorious content. I mentioned this yesterday in my 2-year video that this was going to drop today. This is a run that I haven't seen anyone else do on YouTube so far. This is the giant form stage of Super Battle Road with no items, with no LR Super Baby 2. I do not have LR Super Baby 2. Shout out to DBZ World, and I do actually know a couple of people personally that have done this stage with no items, but they did use LR Super Baby 2, who definitely makes it a lot easier. He is a very, very good unit. I very much wish that I had him. But as you can see, I mean, this video wouldn't exist otherwise. We managed to get the run done without him. So we'll go through the team, obviously running double Tapions. I can't even remember what attempt number this was, so I'm not even sure if this is a rainbow one, because obviously I always use the rainbow ones first and then have to, you know, use whatever's left after that. So there is a bit of a story to this stage. While I was at work last week during my day shifts, I was trying to think of team builds for all of the stages that I hadn't done yet. And I decided I would start working on the giant form stage. And so I had a couple of runs, changed a unit here or there, and then when I came across this particular build for the team, I actually ended up completing the run. But unfortunately, this was, like I said, at work, on my phone, not recording. So, you know, I mean, I sent the DM screenshots to a couple of people who could obviously verify that that was the case. However, that is not how we do things over on this channel. You can't be the Super Battle Road King with screenshots alone. So we have to get the actual run on video. So I sat down on my first day off knowing that this team could get it done, and it still took me many attempts, because obviously the no items runs on Super Battle Road are very RNG reliant, and on this team even more so because of the various things like the transformations. Ideally, you want to get a transformation off really early from one of the actual 8 units before you start relying on the Tapion and Metal Cooler transformations, which obviously only trigger once you drop below 50% HP. So basically the big challenge with this, so I know a lot of people use a strategy very similar to this to actually complete the stage just normally, like with items, is the fact that you can kind of chain together Tapion and Metal Cooler transformations by constantly staying at below 50% HP. But obviously if you were doing a normal run, what you would do, once the Hirudegarn or Metal Cooler Core transformation ends, you can't go straight into another one. So if you have one Tapion on rotation, you get your Hirudegarn, and then when the rotation ends, you also have Metal Cooler on that rotation, he won't immediately transform into the Metal Cooler Core. So you have at least one turn. So this is it here for us. We just came out of Metal Cooler, we have Tapion on the rotation, but Tapion won't transform because we've just come out of a transformation. So this is where the issue lies. So on a normal run, you would use a Whis here, for example, if you wanted to keep that 50% to transform with the other Tapion on the next turn. But of course, we don't have that luxury on a no items run. So fortunately, Tapion, obviously he is a very good defensive unit anyway. He has built-in damage mitigation, but once you drop below 50% HP, if he doesn't transform, either because he's used up his number of transformations, or like in this case you've just come out of another transformation, he also gives himself a huge defensive boost. So that huge boost to his defense plus his built-in damage mitigation means, as you will see throughout the runs here, he takes very little damage when you're below 50% HP. So we will always be keeping a Tapion on main rotation. Of course here he's taking a super attack with type disadvantage, and he takes 50k. So not many units on Super Battle Road can do that outside of the dedicated tanks, and Giant form doesn't really have many of those, especially if you don't have the LR Super Baby 2. So one of the things that the team does have going for it is, of course, a lot of the units on this team lower attack. So both the Tapions do it, Metal Cooler does it, and Tora does it. And then we have the Great Ape Turles and the Giant Form Piccolo. Both of those are able to stun with their super attacks. Piccolo might seem like a weird unit. He's definitely kind of the one that strikes me as being out of place when you look at the team overall. But he is here for a very significant reason. Not only does he have that chance to stun with his super attack, but he's one of those units like Omega or Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, where he lowers the enemy's attack with his passive. So just by him being on the rotation, everybody's attack is already slightly lowered. And then obviously we put Tapion in front of all the hits and hit some people with some attack lowering super attacks, and that puts us in the best position to actually defend in those turns where we're not transformed. So obviously here we got the Tora transformation. I believe the way it works is he would have been the first unit on the rotation, and his RNG chance to transform kicked in. If he hadn't transformed, the other Tapion would have just transformed. So we're always going to get a transformation on this turn anyway. So what I try and do on all of these phases is I try and leave the STR enemy to last, because so many units on our team are AGL. So if we come out of, like here for example, when we come out of a transformation, if we're going to have to take a bunch of attacks, I don't want a load of type disadvantage attacks. So fortunately, as you can see, Goku is not attacking in the last slot, so we can safely put Lord Slug in there. I guess I haven't mentioned him at all. He's a very good unit. He's the other Giant Form leader, although his leader skill is not as useful as Tapion's. And he's just a kind of general hard-hitting unit. On some rotations, depending on how they play out, he does have big bad bosses which he can activate with Metal Cooler. So he's just useful. He's a hard hitter, and of course he is just a unit of a different type, because, you know, here it's very advantageous to have that physical unit that we can put in front of the extra int attack at the end. You definitely don't want a team of entirely one type on these Super Battle Road stages, just to maximise type advantage and or disadvantage. So of course here he gets hit by the super, but we have type advantage, so he only takes 50k, and then we roll straight into another Tapion transformation. So that is basically going to be the theme of the run. Lots of transformations. Unfortunately, one of the biggest gripes with the Giant Form team has always been the fact that once you're in the transformed state, there's no key links. So as you can see here, because of the layout of the field of orbs not being to our advantage, we didn't get a single super attack with Hirudegarn. So fortunately the Great Apes can additional crit and all that other good stuff after an update. It was a long time ago now, but I remember the game before that update existed, and it made Giant Form units really bad. I feel like if that update didn't exist, this stage would be so much more difficult, and the no items run maybe not even possible, who knows. But yeah, no one gets any key. That's one of the good things about Baby, is when Baby transforms the LR, he does get extra key per orb obtained, because obviously even when he transforms into an ape, he's still an LR, so he has a 12 key and an 18 key super attack. And then of course you've got units like the new Kumba that just came out on JP. When he transforms into his ape form, he gives himself 2 key. So in each of those 3 slots, he only needs 4 key to super attack, whereas of course nobody on this team has any abilities like that, so sometimes it can be difficult to get super attacks. But fortunately, we've left ourselves in a position here where we took out everyone except the Goku. We've got type advantage in our first 2 slots, so we can put Tapion right up front in order to mitigate all of that damage, as well as the fact that of course he lowers attack. We've already hit Goku here with a couple. He's already got the attack lowered status effect, so it's not going to be too difficult for Tapion and Turles to essentially take next to no damage. And then of course Turles does have a chance to stun as well as the Piccolo. So ideally we either want to take him out or stun him before he gets the chance to attack Piccolo, because even with a couple of attack lowers applied, he would potentially still deal a little bit of damage. My Piccolo, he's not rainbowed. Turles leaving him with a sliver of health, and then comes in with the additional to finish him off. So yeah, the Piccolo isn't rainbow solely because I've ran out of STR orbs. I'm trying to think who I pulled from the recent banners, but I think one of the recently I rainbowed the Final Form Frieza. And then of course we had Namek Goku recently, who even though only got one copy, I of course put him straight to 55%. So that Piccolo, I think he's sat somewhere at around 60%. He does have all 4 paths open, super attack 10, so of course he has all of his star abilities and whatnot, but his stats are not quite as high as they could be if he was rainbow. So I felt like it was worth bringing him along anyway, just because of the fact that he lowers attack with his passive and can stun with his super attack. So going into this one, because the team is made up of mostly AGL, and then we do have the STR Piccolo, we at least have one unit that has type advantage over the Goku, but we have no units that have any particular advantage over Vegeta, as well as of course the Piccolo would have type disadvantage to the Vegeta. So I decided to target him first, and we essentially just want to go crazy with as many super attacks on the first target as we can. It's basically just the theme of the second and the third fight really, because unless you get a Dokkan mode that puts you to full HP, you're going to constantly be doing this balancing act of being at 50% health and trying to survive that one turn where you're not transformed. So speaking of the Dokkan attack, you can kind of look, you can see the bar down there. We are obviously into the second fight and the bar is only just at the halfway mark, which you may have remembered from some of the other no items runs. Because we often prioritize same type orbs because we want to get as much free healing as we can. The Dokkan mode usually comes somewhere around the second out of the 3 fights, but of course the problem with the Giant Form team is that whenever any of the units transforms into their giant state, picking up orbs does not give you HP or Dokkan bar progress. So whilst it's amazing that we don't take any damage and we get to chip away at our enemies without having to worry about dying, we can't speed up that Dokkan bar, which obviously for a no items run is the only way that we have to heal ourselves. So we have to be very careful. Now the one really good thing about Metal Cooler as well is the fact that he, as part of his passive, he heals you slightly at the end of the turn if he took damage that turn. So it's very useful actually, because he gives a free little heal at the end, which is very, very nice. So I target Vegeta here with both of Tapion and Metal Cooler. It's kind of like, it's a little bit of a waste of their attack lowering because all 3 units on this rotation lower attack, but we do absolutely want to get rid of Vegeta before he can hit Metal Cooler, because even with an attack lower or 2, AGL on AGL on Super Battle Road with no items, we would still take some damage. So oh no, of course I targeted Goku with Tapion because Metal Cooler is strong enough. Mine is 90%, so as you can see he is strong enough to take out the Vegeta by himself, thus allowing Goku to do a little bit less damage to him. And then Tora hits him as well, because Tora's got type advantage over Piccolo, and we get the extra attack lower on Goku. So yet another turn where we managed to survive. That is essentially the goal. So, and we should have got the little bit of a heal from Cooler that turn, although obviously it did keep us below 50%, so we transformed again. So it's basically just back to business as usual. Of course, if you weren't already aware, part of Tapion's leader skill is the fact that he allows giant form units to transform an extra time. And so of course with double Tapion leads, that's 2 extra times, and most of the Great Ape units when they're awakened can transform twice anyway. So every single one of the units can transform at least 3 times. So that keeps this like under 50% transformation train pretty much impossible to break unless we were to go, wow, it would be a lot of turns without taking out all the enemies. If you think each unit's transformed for at least 2 turns, then there's 1 turn in the middle where no one is transformed. So that's 3 turns per transformation. Just between the 2 Tapions and the Metal Cooler, that's like 9 turns for 1 transformation. So 1 transformation each, should I say. And they get up to 3 transformations each. And I believe, was this an extra turn with Hirudegarn? Because there is the possibility for that 3rd turn as well with the transformations. So if we can play our cards right here, I hesitated a little bit at the start because I'm trying to figure out the best way to not only get orbs, but to drop orbs down. Because if I can't pick up 6 orbs, I don't see the point of picking up a group of 5 if I can maybe pick up the orbs around it to cause that 5 to then connect into a 6. Because obviously we want to get super attacks with our giant form transformations as much as possible. We get the crit from Hirudegarn, which takes out Goku. So that leaves us in a very nice scenario yet again where we only have the STR unit left alive. I guess that must have been the 2nd turn, because now we're getting an extra turn. So yeah, those are this is kind of what I was saying before about the fact that this run, more so than any of the others, really does feed into RNG. I made a mistake there as well, because I'm sure the orbs on the right side would have actually got me 6 key. But yeah, the RNG, like if you got that extra transformation turn every single time you transformed, that's a whole 3 extra attacks worth of damage. That could then lead to potentially taking out a unit that doesn't get to hit you in the following turn. And then yeah, here we are, perfect situation. All of Piccolo's attacks are focused in the 1st slot against Tapion, who has his damage mitigation plus bonus defense for being under 50% HP. So he's going to take no damage from normal attacks, and then even if we get supered here, he would take very little. But fortunately no super. And then Turles, chance to stun, but he's just going to crit and take him out anyway. So, and there you go. So we get through the 2nd fight. We gained a little bit of health. We've been gaining health here and there from the same type orbs, but we are of course still below 50% HP. We are going to go straight into this next fight and get a, is it Tapion is first up on rotation? Oh no, so there you go. So you could see from the wheel as we were going into the fight, it looked like it was Piccolo, Tapion and then Metal Cooler. So it will roll the RNG for Piccolo to transform, and then if that had failed, then we would have got the Hirudegarn transformation. So instead, we get Giant Form Piccolo. Now, to be perfectly honest, that's actually slightly unlucky for us, because of course the Giant Piccolo is actually the weakest of the transformation units we have, being that he is at the lower end of the hidden potential. Like I said, everybody else on the team apart from Metal Cooler is Rainbow. Metal Cooler is 90%. And yeah, everyone else is Rainbow aside from this Piccolo. He is about 60. So the one advantage we do get is, at least because he has type advantage over Goku, I decided to just focus on Goku here and do as much damage as I can. Goku is, I think, the hardest hitting out of the 3 of these, but he also might have the most health. I'm not entirely sure. I'm fairly sure Trunks has the least health. But I decide, since we've got the type advantage with this Piccolo, we might as well target Goku and just do as much damage as we can. Of course, unfortunately, with the orb layout there, not able to get a single super attack. Do we get any additionals from this Piccolo this turn? We did get one in the previous turn, so at least there's that, but none this turn. So kind of a wasted transformation. Like I said, I would have much rather preferred Hirudegarn or the Metal Cooler core, but the big advantage of this rotation is we now have the stacked up effects of the extra defense that Tapion gives himself for being under 50%. Then we have the debuff from Piccolo, which I think is 20%. And then of course, like we said already, both the Tapion and Metal Cooler lower attack with their supers. So I think, do I get all of them to focus on Goku? Essentially, I want to lower their attack and then try and take out Goku as quickly as possible. And then I target Tapion with Piccolo, even though he is of course an AGL unit, so Piccolo's not really going to do any damage, just because Piccolo can stun with his super attack. So if we can get a unit stunned, that's always a little bit helpful in surviving that filler turn, if we want to call it that, before we get another one of our transformations. But of course Tapion out here just taking double digits. Tapion, I feel like, is kind of an underrated unit because he really only works on specific teams. But for Super Battle Road, like, obviously Giant Form, you kind of have to use him because he's the main leader. But like Resurrected Warriors, for example, you can run the AGL one and the Tech Tapion together, and they are very, very good and very effective on Super Battle Road. Because not only do you get the Hirudegarn transformation, but like we said, once you've come out of the transformation, you then also get that bonus defense. So Tapion, very much one of the MVPs. Absolutely why we are running a Tapion on both rotations. And then Metal Cooler, probably not far behind in terms of useful units on the team. I only need one more copy to rainbow him, but I was quite happy to not chase that final copy, because of course those of us on Global, having seen all the stuff for STR Final Form Cooler, who's recently come to JP, I will absolutely go ham for him when he comes to Global. I've mentioned this many times before, that Final Form Cooler is one of my favourite designs of any character in Dragon Ball. I absolutely love that transformation where he goes into the final form and you get the little mouth guard and everything. Always thought he was awesome. So ever since Golden Frieza was introduced in Resurrection of F, I've always been hyped for the idea of Golden Cooler, which is of course a thing thanks to Heroes and is also now available on JP. So for us Cooler fans, like me and the homie Goresh, there's a lot of good stuff on the horizon for Global. But going off on a bit of a tangent there, but AGL Metal Cooler is on that STR Coolers banner, and so since I'll be going in so hard on that banner, because I will probably want to walk away with at least a 79% STR Cooler, I feel like it's probably very likely that I will pull that final AGL Metal Cooler during those summons. And then of course, knowing my luck, I'll probably end up with 2 or 3 more copies before I actually manage to pull all the copies of STR Cooler that I want. But there you go. So now this turn actually was a little bit of a concern for me, because we got a bit of a heal from the fact that Cooler took damage in the previous turn before we got a transformation, and that actually put us above the 50% when we came out of the Hirudegarn transformation. So as you can see here, we've come out of the transformation, but we are above 50% health. So what that means is that Tapion doesn't get his extra 50% defense. So of course the AGL Tapion enemy is attack lowered, but fortunately Tapion's still a beast. I'm not even sure why I was concerned. I really thought, well, okay, here's a super attack for 79k. I'm actually really impressed. I thought he was going to take a lot more damage than that. Something else must happen then, because obviously, as you guys know, these no item attempts, they are very difficult, and I often have to try many times to get them actually recorded successfully. So I just record them with no commentary and then record the commentary afterwards, because you know, once you've done your like intro and talked about the units on your team and then died like 4 or 5 times in a row, you kind of get annoyed at doing it. So I always do it after the fact now, and I'm sure there's one turn, it must be closer to the end, but there is definitely one turn where I was very concerned that the run might be about to fall apart, and I thought it was there because we were over 50% HP, but fortunately Tapion proving me wrong and just defending like an absolute Chad. Took double digit damage from everybody on that first slot, apart from the super attack, so that was pretty great. And then we ended up getting the Lord Slug transformation instead of the Tapion one, but yeah, Lord Slug, it's nice to see him transform. I think, has everyone transformed? Maybe not Turles. Tora definitely has. Piccolo did. I think everyone has had a chance to transform now, apart from create 8 Turles, so why not, I guess. Obviously the main goal here, just to try and finish off Super Saiyan 3 Goku, so we can go down to only having 2 opponents, because of course the less enemies we have, we can spread out the attack lowering across them, and hopefully have that little bit of an extra chance to survive. So I do like the fact that this Goku is of course the LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku, so he has that awesome Dragon Fist animation as his super attack. So fortunately we were in giant form at the time, so we didn't have to get absolutely destroyed by it, but there you go. So as you can see here, we are in the danger zone. We are, what, 20% HP, just below, and 3 people still alive. So this is a difficult choice of who to attack here for me, but I decided the best way to go about it was to attack Tapion in the next slot there, not get a super attack with Tapion because he's not the hardest hitting unit in the world, and of course we are getting the Dokkan attack here, so we want to get the Dokkan attack with Metal Cooler because he will definitely do more damage. Oof, look at this. This was the turn. So that super attack, when that super attack fired off, I thought we were dead. But we survive on the bare minimum of health, and then Tapion, in that Chad defense mode again, takes double-digit damage from all the attacks. We already know for a fact that Metal Cooler is going to kill Goku here with the Dokkan attack. We are targeting Trunks, because Trunks is still going to get a hit off on Lord Slug at the back there, so we want to get him with the attack lower. I think I mentioned this during the Super Saiyan 3 video, but when you get the Dokkan attack with a unit that can lower attack, or seal, or stun, the effect is only applied to the unit that they actually attack. And then obviously the Dokkan attack does AoE damage to everybody else, but it doesn't apply those status effects. So we do hit him with the attack down, and this is where it was like I was clenching my teeth, because if we didn't take double digits, it was GG for that run. But Lord Slug taking double digits from the attack down Trunks, and then we get into the Harudegan transformation. So this of course tells us immediately that the heal from the Dokkan attack wasn't enough to put us above 50% HP, but honestly that is the ideal situation, because if we'd been put above 50% health, we wouldn't have transformed, and then we'd have to rely on Tapion to tank without that extra defensive buff. And knowing my luck, he probably would have taken at least 1 super attack, and we would have been in bad shape. But we managed to make it by the skin of our teeth, get the Harudegan transformation, which allows us to take out Trunks, and then we can just start putting some damage on to Tapion. Hopefully, I'm thinking here at this point, if we can get all super attacks, we can maybe kill him. So we get 1 here, and then the orb's not looking so great. Managed to drop those blues down and get another 1 here. So is 2 super attacks gonna be enough to finish him off? Obviously we probably would need to get crits. No crit on the first one, so that kind of shows us with the amount of damage we did, we probably aren't done just yet. So another super attack with no crit. He's going to super attack us, which is perfectly fine because Harudegan says no. And then we go back to our... So this is actually ideal. I think that this right here is when I knew we'd won, because Tapion, we know he's going to defend like an absolute unit unless it's a super attack. We also have Piccolo on the rotation, which is that extra bit of attack debuff. So there's no way he can kill. Even if one of those 3 attacks was a super attack, he's not going to be able to kill us. And yeah, 100 damage, 46 damage, and 95 damage. So there you go. Tapion unable to kill us. Look at that. He's got the tiniest sliver of health. Can Piccolo finish him off here? No crit, so he doesn't finish him off, and we are left to rely on 1 final Harudegan transformation from Tapion. Massive overkill here, considering he is on the tiniest sliver of health. We can't even get a super attack with the first attack. But let's grab all of these AGL orbs here and deliver 1 final barrage to take. Well, there you go. We don't even need the supers. Crit, normal attack, takes him out. And there we go. So that was definitely a lot closer than the run that I did at work. We definitely didn't get down to, what was it, like 370 HP we had at one point. But there you go. So technically I've done the run twice, but here you go. And I actually beat my record, because when I did it at work, you guys might have seen if you follow me on Twitter when I post screenshots of things like random teams on Boss Rush or whatever. When I'm at work, I get obviously constantly distracted, so my times are usually really bad. So not only was this time better than the one that I did at work, it was better than my best time, because I think the one I did at work was almost 50 minutes. So there you go, we set a new best time for this stage, and we did it with no items as well. So there you go. What more would you expect from your Super Battle Road King? So there you go, guys. I know this one was a little bit of a longer one. Obviously, with all the transformations and stuff, this one just takes longer to do. So I appreciate any of you who are still here for the video. Hashtag Ningen Club down in the comments. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed and will continue to support your Super Battle Road King. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can follow me on Twitch or join my Discord. The link is in the description below. I also have the link for my new merch that I debuted yesterday. That link is in the description as well. Go check that out. You get t-shirts, vests and stickers available. And I will see you all again very soon. Have a good one.